So naturally, once you're done filming in Las Vegas, what's the most logical place to go? You go to New York City in February. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me for this behind the scenes look at how we did a sermon series across the country. And I'm so excited to talk about our next location. We are headed to the Big Apple itself, New York City. So after spending about 4 or 5 days in Vegas, we flew cross country to New York City and we got set up with our Verbo, which was just off in one of the burbs somewhere, which is kind of cool because I've always only stayed in hotels when I've gone to New York, and I've never got the opportunity to film in New York.
So after we did a extensive amount of traveling, we are now here in New York, and we actually have a really unique kind of like just an apartment in New York. It's just a 2-bedroom apartment. Basically my bedroom's at the end of the hall, and then there's the main living room, and then there's another bedroom. Then it goes right out to the street. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the room looks like real quick. As you can see, like, you come in, there's the bed, got a little area for the clothing there, got a little closet. Right now I got footage offloading, backing up audio and everything like that. That leads out to the alley, then just a nice little bath and shower right there. So yeah, never filmed in New York before, so this could be quite an experience. And yeah, like 3 or 4 sermons that we gotta film in New York, so off we go and we'll see what we can get.
One thing I am glad we did was first day we were there, we got our subway tickets for the entire week that we were there. And we literally just used that to get everywhere. And I haven't traveled via the subway like that, so it was really kind of interesting every time going down into the subway tunnels and getting on the different stations. And that took us a few minutes to figure out, but once we kind of did it a few times on the regular, we kind of picked up on it. Sometimes we had a lot of people on the subway train with us. Sometimes we had almost nobody. Kind of just depended on the time of day and where we were going. But it was exciting to kind of just be able to zip all across New York City with our gear and just filming at these very cool locations. A couple places that we did get to film at is we filmed down on Wall Street. Very cool to get cameras down there. They were doing some remodeling, so we weren't able to go everywhere that we wanted in Wall Street, but we still got some really cool footage there. So down in at the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street, we are filming our 3rd sermon. We are going to try to do 2 today, right before we're supposed to get big snowfall here in New York, about 5 to 8 inches. So we're going to try to get that done beforehand. So here we go. We had a really unique location picked out because we were talking about wealth and stuff like that. So of course, naturally, we're thinking to ourselves, well, what resembles wealth besides Wall Street? And we naturally thought of Trump Tower. So we actually found the area where the Trump Tower was, and it's all gold plated and gold wiring all up to the sky. And we found this little like plaza area that we thought was public. And so we started to film there, and we got a couple shots up. And unfortunately, we had a security guy come across from the other buildings like, oh, this is actually a private area where cameras aren't allowed here, which there weren't any signs or anything like that. So, we didn't really know. So we had to just adjust, and we kind of went down the steps and around the corner, and then that was public. So we just kind of filmed in that area, and we were able to get a little bit of an angle where we still saw some of the tower in the background. But that's a good thing to know, is that, sometimes you think you found the perfect location, and it turns out that you can't actually get access to that location. And there's nothing you can do about it, especially if you don't have the time or the budget to get a permit to film there. So you gotta make those little adjustments in the middle of shooting and just continue on forward and stay on time. And that's just a good attitude to take into filming on location like this, where you gotta be constantly moving and you have a lot to do. We had, I think, 3 or 4 messages. Yeah, we had 3 planned messages that we were going to get in New York, so we didn't really have a lot of time to waste. So we get done filming the next sermon that next day, and that involved us filming near like the big Bull of Wall Street statue, and we'd filmed in front of some restaurants and stuff like that. So we had a couple extra days, so we were thinking, okay, the next day, let's just do something fun. What do we want to do that's fun? And we were talking to all different things, like, let's do a Broadway show, let's do, let's go here, let's go there, let's go this, let's go to like museums, what do we want to do? So one of the ones that we decided to do is go to 2 places that all of us had never been to, we really, really wanted to, just because it was an important thing for us, especially like it's New York City. If you're gonna go somewhere, go here. So we went to the 9/11 Memorial, which was really special to be able to go there and see that, because I hadn't been there since 2002, when it was still being cleared away and like they hadn't even begun constructing any of the memorials, stuff like that. So for me to be able to see that so many years later, it was really kind of cool to go there. And then we all decided we really want to go out to the Statue of Liberty, because none of us had been to Liberty Island. So we actually were able to get tickets to the Liberty Ferry that day, go out to Liberty Island. And what was interesting is we get out there and you realize it's such a massive island. And, while it feels really crowded on the ferry going out there, all of a sudden, as soon as you get to the island itself, everyone scatters. And all of a sudden, like, we looked around, there's like nobody around us. And security's not like crazy there, and you're definitely allowed to have like cameras and stuff like that. So we were just like, guys, this is an amazing location. And we still have one more day here. We need to come up with another sermon just to film here on Liberty Island. And I think the final thematic idea was it was going to be about freedom. And so we really hightail it back to our place that we're staying, and our pastor writes a new sermon all about freedom. And so the next day we rebuy new tickets and we decided to go to Liberty Island. The only big thing we were worried about is there is like just a very basic metal detector security system, kind of like a very basic airport security system that you have to go through to go out to Liberty Island, which understandably. And so of course there's my gear, and we're just like, well, how's my gear gonna work? And we're like, well, let's stand in different parts of the line, go in different checkpoints, and keep the gear a little bit on the smaller side. Don't go crazy with all the bells and whistles, and just take what we need and just break it into pieces and just have it go through. And if it goes through, great. If it doesn't, we have backup cameras. And so my stuff got through no problem. So we all got through. We jump on there, and then we actually ended up filming an entire sermon in a few hours on Liberty Island. And the footage there looked amazing, because like you had New York City off in the background across the water. You had Liberty statue that we could like tilt our cameras up at, which looked amazing. We had inside the Liberty Museum itself, and just these amazing shots that, if we hadn't have just gone there just for fun, we wouldn't have discovered this amazing location. And that's one of the things I think I personally learned during this entire trip is, you have a plan. You definitely have to have a plan, but being flexible to like discovering new like little spots, little corners, or like even just tilting the camera a couple different ways, and all of a sudden it changes your perspective. It changes the impact of the shot that you're getting. And because we had our microphone setup that I talked about in the previous episode, we didn't get affected by filming while we were on the ferry or on the island with the wind that was coming off the water. So we had great audio, and image-wise, it just looked amazing. We had to really dial our settings and the cameras down because it was a bright sunny day. So we had like our ISO and our f-stop, we had that all cranked massively down, and it caused a little bit of problem in color correction in post, just because like everything was so like bright because the sun was bouncing off everything. So it caused a little bit of trouble in post, but nothing too crazy because we had this amazing original image to work with. Another cool location that we did hit almost like our first day there was we wanted to see if we could film in Times Square. And we woke up at a reasonable time. I think we were on the subway system by like 8 o'clock, and we got to Times Square by like 8:15, and we just walked right into it. And we were like shocked that like while there was tourists around filming stuff and taking pictures and whatnot, there wasn't like a lot of activity happening at Times Square. So we literally found a little table, and we're like, you know what, this will be different. You're usually standing or walking in all these sermons. Let's just have you sit at a little, like it was a little red table in the middle of Times Square. You can clearly tell we're in the hub of it all. You got this great huge backdrop of Times Square in New York City behind you. Let's just film the entire thing right there. We just literally put the camera right on the table, aimed it at the pastor, and we did the entire sermon like that. And it was really cool just being able to do that, because one, it was a little bit of a break for me and the other camera guy to rest our arms from having to carry these cameras around, and it just allowed us to kind of take in the whole atmosphere, which again, having people coming and going and tourists going back and forth, and you just see the hub happening all around, the pastor as he was doing his sermon, but he's just sitting there relaxed, and it kind of fit in with the theming of the sermon of being able to take the time to rest. So it was just kind of cool, this cool dichotomy that we were able to create with the imagery there. So that was a great example of also just letting the location do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So after we do the film at Lady Liberty, we wrap out our day, we start to pack up, and now we've gone from a warm climate to a really cold climate, and now we're going to go to another warm climate down in Orlando, Florida. And that will be in the final episode of this series. Hope you will check back for that. If you have any comments or questions about how we've done this series or how we did things out on location, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will see you guys next time. And until then, keep the faith and keep on filmmaking.